right, man.
Hey, it's all good.
Barbershop conversations, man. I was scrolling through my phone. I saw your show yesterday on Fox, and I saw that segment. I was like, and I fell asleep last night, and I woke up like, oh smack! I have Chris Broussard's phone number, and I call him, and 20 seconds later, we're doing the interview. So I want to say thank you, man, because I know it was your birthday yesterday. Happy birthday! And I know it's Halloween. You got a family. I heard you on Boyce Watkins talk about raising your family. So thank you for taking the time to give us a couple of minutes of your evening.
Nah, man, it's my pleasure. Thanks for the birthday wishes. You called me at a good time, so I can give you a few moments for sure.
Okay, thank you.
And I always love talking boxing too. So.
Okay, good. Well, you got to come back. You got to come back and sit down with us, man, because we go. We go in. So you made waves in the boxing community yesterday with your comparison of Russell Westbrook and Deontay Wilder and the skill set. But go ahead, feel free to elaborate.
Well, I just feel like, and I said, if you remember, the first thing I said was I'm hesitant to make this comparison because I don't think Wilder is like an all-time great.
Mm-hmm.
And Westbrook's an all-time great. You know, he obviously made the top 75 team of the first 75 years of the NBA. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's historic. He's a legend. He's an icon.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's better or higher ranked, if you will, in his craft than Wilder is. But I thought the comparison was appropriate because Wilder has that one thing that very few people have, and that's that right hand.
Mm-hmm.
And that has enabled him to do tremendous things statistically, if you will. What is it like? He's knocked out like 90, basically knocked out everybody except Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
You know, and that he's fought, which could be regarded, you know, his knockout rate as the equivalent of Russell Westbrook doing something statistically that's never been done, which is the 4 seasons averaging the triple-double. Nobody thought that could ever be done.
Yes.
And so that is where there's the comparison. And then I would say neither guy is very fundamentally sound. Obviously, Wilder isn't. If you want to debate that, we can. But Wilder's clearly not, in my eyes, fundamentally sound. Not a great boxer. Probably not even really a good boxer. He's a puncher with that right hand. And Westbrook is obviously not a very good shooter. Certainly not a very good three-point shooter. As a point guard, one of the critical things for a point guard is to understand time and score, be a great decision maker. If you think about the best point guards ever, Magic Johnson, Oscar Robertson, Isaiah Thomas, Steve Nash, Chris Paul, Bob Cousy, we could go on and on, obviously Steph Curry. They're great decision makers. That is one of the things that a point guard usually has.
Mm-hmm. I lost you. Let me get them back. You still there?
Oh, my bad. I hit the mute.
Okay, good.
My face. Yeah, when did you lose me?
Usually has.
Yeah, so a point guard usually has great decision-making skills. You think of the best point guards ever, they all were known for their decision-making.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Westbrook's not that. He makes some poor decisions. He plays the 47th minute like it was the 17th minute. You know, he knows one speed, and that's full speed ahead. And that's allowed him to be incredibly successful. And it's the same thing with Deontay Wilder. He knows one thing: swing away with the right hand. And everything he does is trying to set up that right hand. And, you know, that's led him to do great things like Westbrook. But as I said, they both kind of lack the fundamentals of their sport. And with Wilder in his fight with Fury, the third fight, of course, he was supposedly going to box and learn how to box and be a different fighter to some degree. And the thing is, you saw he couldn't. And really after the first round, really, or maybe the second, he reverted to what he really is. which is just a slugger with that right hand. And it's similar, like, that's why you hear the Lakers saying about Westbrook, we want you to be yourself. Because they know inherently, if he's not himself, if he's not dribbling the basketball, playing at 110%, going full speed, then he's not going to be that effective. And you take the ball out of his hands, you ask him to play like another type of player. He's not a great shooter. He's not a great catch and shoot guy. So what value is he really going to bring? So, and then finally, to win, like Wilder, you know, his biggest test, obviously, the ultimate, was to defend his championship first, and then win the championship against Tyson Fury. He obviously wasn't able to do that. Westbrook, the only thing he hasn't done is win a championship. And to win the championship, you've got to be the best of the best, or in Wilder's case, a Tyson Fury. So that's the one thing that Westbrook hasn't been able to do, because as great as his play has been individually, the poor decision making,
You hit the mute button again.
Okay, my bad.
There you go.
As great as Westbrook's been individually, the poor decision making, the poor shooting, the turnovers, that'll keep you from beating the best of the best.
Right.
And with Wilder, the poor fundamentals, the inability to box, the inability to defend yourself, the poor footwork, that will keep you from beating the best, a la Tyson Fury. And so those are, and then I'll give you this last thing. Westbrook has incredible heart. And he plays like his heart is on display 48 minutes a night. And we saw with Wilder, particularly in the third fight, that he has incredible heart as well. And so his combination of the right hand and his heart led him to do great things. Westbrook's combination of his motor and his athletic ability and his heart led him to do great things. But both of them's lack of fundamentals ultimately did him in when it came to winning the biggest prize that there is, or in Westbrook's case, has done him in so far.
Right. And play devil's advocate, if you flip the other side of the coin, pro Wilder fans would say he has 10 title defenses. He tied Muhammad Ali. He won a bronze medal just learning boxing over 18 months. And some would say it takes a level of skill to be the third best fighter in the world, fighting 18 months, and then become a professional and defend your title 10 times. And most notable, knocking out Luis Ortiz 2 times, who was a decorated amateur from Cuba.
How old was Luis Ortiz?
Well, we'll never know. We'll never know.
Well, you're right.
We'll never know.
He was at least 40.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
I mean that, but they're not like overestimating his age.
Yeah.
If anything, they're underestimating it.
Sure.
So that's the thing. I mean, Wilder hasn't beaten many great fighters. He just hasn't. And you know, that's why I said I question whether he's an all-time great. He hasn't been in an era where there were great heavyweight fighters. I can't look, I give him props, his strength, his heart, his courage, his power, all of that. There is no way a boxing aficionado is going to say Deontay Wilder has great boxing skill. Are you ready to say that?
I think he has a great one too. I think that
yes,
knockout.
Okay, that's fine. I'm not saying he's completely devoid of skill, just like I'm not saying Russell Westbrook can't dribble or Russell Westbrook can't shoot to some degree. You know, like, of course they've got skills to some degree, but world class at that level they're not there because of Wilder's certainly not there because of his defensive ability, or his jab, like a jab as a weapon, not just as a measuring stick, but like his ability to bob and weave, and footwork and things like that. Like Ortiz was beating him
in the second, and then
in the second for soundly beating him, and he caught him with his hammer.
But did you see how it was set up? Did you see how it was set up off the pivot and the 1-2?
I'm not saying he's just going out there like a street fighter.
Okay, got that.
But I'm saying in the relatively speaking, he doesn't have great boxing skills.
Sure.
And that's the reason why Tyson Fury beat him.
Now, would you
Twice,
say
the last 2 times?
Now, would you say this, that we have to begin to be looking at elite athletes from a different vernacular? I saw a quarterback that's my height, 5'7", lead a 7-0 team against the greatest quarterback of this era, and basically damn near win the game. You see the quarterback in Baltimore, who to say that he's not accurate. He can't put no touch on the ball, but he throws for 400 yards and only misses 4 passes. So as you being as an expert of basically all sports, I followed your career. Do you think that we have to begin to rewrite the books in terms of what is great and or what isn't?
Not in terms of what is great, because greatness proves itself. There are different ways. Like, guys do it in different ways. Some do it, as you brought up quarterback. Some display their greatness or rise to greatness through passing the ball. Lamar Jackson has risen to greatness through running it and now becoming a very solid passer. Kyler Murray, who you were talking about, has risen to, or is on his way to greatness through running the football and throwing it, like scrambling, all that. So, and they're all cerebral. Those two that I mentioned, Lamar and Kyler. So greatness does not need to be changed because greatness is in the results. But as far as, the quarterback position, which is what you brought up,
yes,
it is evolving, and we are seeing, more running quarterbacks. And so if that's what you're alluding to, and we're also seeing smaller quarterbacks,
very much so,
like a Kyler Murray, be able to do it. So, but very few people doubted Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
When he came out of school, he was, people expected him to do well.
But that was maybe because of Russell Wilson, though. Russell Wilson brought the bricks for the bridge. You get what I'm saying? Like, so.
No, what do you mean by that?
Like
because Russell Wilson,
he kind of shift the paradigm. Like, you can be a 6'1" quarterback.
Really the first,
the first, but
you had a Michael Vick, you had a Randall Cunningham, you had a Donovan McNabb.
Taller guys, though, more sturdier guys.
Right. Okay, so Russell was 5'10". Before that, you had Doug Flutie, who didn't get much of a chance. When he did work. Yes, right. He played well. So, but Russell, Russell is going to be a future Hall of Famer. So he's done a great job as well.
Okay.
But I don't know if you're going racial on it.
No, I'm definitely not going.
But you brought a black quarterback. No. And I would say, when I say Deontay Wilder doesn't have great boxing skill, obviously that has nothing to do with race, because the boxers who have displayed the most skill were virtually all African American. So it has nothing to do with his race.
No, I wouldn't.
Just objectively looking at him, you could tell he don't have great boxing skills.
Yeah, I was just making reference to the physical attributes and how we see it in a traditional manner, because you only can compete against the people that are before you. And I think Deontay Wilder has done a hell of a job at just beating the people that are in his era. Whether
he has, but it's not his fault. It's not a great era, but the guy that has some real skills, obviously he couldn't do anything with him, for the most part. So look, Wilder, more power to him. He's had a great career, but and some of it may be that he started so late. I'll give him also that to get knocked out the way he did after dominating everyone you faced, and for him to come back and fight the way he did in the third fight, that's incredible. Because you've seen a lot of fighters who have been dominant for a decade or so. When they first get knocked out or beaten, they can't really bounce back mentally. And so his ability to bounce back, even though he didn't win, at least to fight his best fight or to fight the best that he could, that you got to give him something for that.
Is will and determination a skill and heart?
I wouldn't say so. I'd say will and determination is a trait, a characteristic, a great trait and characteristic.
Okay.
But no, it's not a skill. I mean, I can have all the will and determination I want, but if I can't field a ground ball, which is a skill, then I'm not going to be very good at baseball. Now, obviously, will and determination goes into working at your craft, but talk to me. I mean, you clearly seem to think Deontay Wilder is a greatly skilled boxer. Tell me why.
I think what he does is great. Like.
But it can be great, but is it skilled?
I would say he's not.
I mean,
the most.
Speaking in terms of boxing, in terms of Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Thomas Hearns, even guys like Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao. These are skilled fighters.
No.
Even Tyson Fury.
No. Yeah, you're absolutely right. No, we're not even gonna go there. We're not even gonna put that
That's
on.
All I'm talking
we're not even gonna put them on that barometer. But I'm saying is what you do great. What he does is great. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had the sky hook. George Gervin had the finger roll. Mark Jackson had the teardrop. Mark Jackson wasn't the atypical point guard, but when he left the league, he was the third all-time leader in assists. You get what I'm so what I'm saying?
He had point guard skills.
Yeah, but his body, like his body type, and you know what I mean, like the back down game, and when he got more mature, that wasn't atypical at the time.
Was a tremendous passer.
Oh yeah, definitely tremendous passer.
From day one. I mean, the court vision.
Yeah, very much so.
I mean, look, I'm not trying to take away from Deontay Wilder's legacy. Like I said, I would question whether or not he's an all-time great, but what he's done great things. He, like you said, he knocked out the people you put in front of him.
Yeah.
And
I think that makes you an all-time
he
great.
Continues to fight and how he does.
Yeah.
But
I know you got to go. I know you got to, because I could talk forever. But I think if you just beat the people of your era, you're an all-time great. Like if you replace George Mikan, Willis Reed, how successful would Willis Reed be in this era? How successful would George Mikan? They can't dribble the ball. Right.
Well, if you gave George Mikan and Willis Reed the benefit of better sneakers, better equipment, weight training, year-round play, charter flights, nutritionists, they could do work today.
Okay.
A superstar of any era. I mean, I'm not the first to question Deontay Wilder's
No, you're
greatness.
not.
Like he's generally not regarded as an all-time great. And it's because he has it, because people see the lack of skill and see that he's not fighting, tremendous fighters and competition. And that's where they say, despite the great record, we still don't put him up there with the all-time great heavyweights.
So working backwards, what would you think of Klitschko?
Klitschko fought better competition.
But Vladimir, he was in Europe for like 10 years and he fought guys like Corey Saunders and lost.
Lewis, I mean, whichever one you're talking about, but
no, that's Vitaly. That's Vitaly. Vladimir is the more decorated.
Yeah, I mean, do I think of Vladimir as an all-time great? No, but
okay.
He probably gets, it'd be interesting to see him in the Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, that'll be good. How about Mike Tyson? Is Mike Tyson an all-time great?
Yeah.
Really?
And Tyson was skilled.
Tyson was a quitter.
What was that?
Tyson was a quitter, man.
Quitter?
Yes, he was a quitter. I mean, every time he got into a big fight, he quit.
Nah, come on, man. You know more about boxing.
No, I think Mike Tyson's mindset.
When did you start watching boxing? 1995?
84 Olympics. I was born in New York, so 84 Olympics I'm 44, so 84 Olympics.
Yeah, you're a little young, man. Mm-hmm. Tyson, no. First of all, Tyson, what happened to Tyson when he left Cus D'Amato's death hurt him.
Sure.
And I'm talking about from a boxing standpoint, not just an emotional or, standpoint. But when Cus D'Amato died, and then eventually he ended up leaving his, Kevin Rooney
yep.
and all those guys, Bill Caton, that had been around him, he degenerated and the fact that he was knocking everybody out too. And it got to a point where dudes were so afraid of him that as soon as he hit them with a decent shot, they would go down.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about Frank Bruno and guys like that. And what happened was Tyson, before, I would say a couple of years before he lost to Buster Douglas, he degenerated into just throwing haymakers. He wasn't like, if you look at the early Tyson, when he was on his way up and then knocked out Trevor Berbick and kept knocking everybody else out for years, he would bob and weave.
Yeah.
He had great defense. He had a jab. Like, that was skill. I mean, that wasn't, I'm just putting out my left hand to measure you to set up the right, like Wilder. He was a skilled boxer.
Yeah, there's a lot of skilled guys.
And so he degenerated to some degree and became somewhat what Deontay Wilder was. And just started if you look at his 5 fights before Douglas, he was just swinging for the fences in all of them. No longer doing bobbing and weaving, jabbing, just throwing haymakers. And eventually he would catch the dudes and they'd fall. And that didn't work once, he fought Douglas. But the original, the Tyson who won the title and was that skilled, he would have beaten up Buster Douglas, no doubt.
But my final question is, what all-time great did Mike Tyson beat? I mean, you going to?
I'm trying to think back.
Looking like Larry Holmes, flabby and sick. That don't count.
What was that?
I said, looking like Larry Holmes, flabby and sick doesn't count because that was Holmes
was about the same age as Ortiz,
see,
right?
Yeah, see, that's the point. That's the point I'm making.
I'll give you that.
You see what I'm saying?
Berbick
was a coward. Berbick was a coward, man.
You keep saying that about everybody, but I don't know where you get.
No, he was a hell of a fighter. He was the last person. He beat Muhammad Ali in his last fight.
Ali was obviously
well done. Well done.
Michael Spinks obviously was a great fighter. Now he did move up from being a light heavyweight.
Yeah,
but he was a great fighter. And then I'd have to go back and again.
I think Razor Ruddock is probably his best win, Mike Tyson.
Razor Ruddock was a good one. That was a war too. Yeah.
That was probably his best.
But I don't know if I'd say that was his best win, but but those are some of the guys. But I mean, Tyson was definitely better than Deontay Wilder.
Okay.
Definitely.
Man, I thank you for being spontaneous, man. It's a Friday night. I know you got your NBA. You about to sit up and watch all your NBA games and prepare for next week, man.
Yeah, I got to roll. All right, brother. Good talking with you, man. Stay in touch.
All right. Appreciate you. Thanks, Kevin.
All right, bro.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you. Chris Broussard, ladies and gentlemen. Barbershop Conversations, man. Great conversation. And man, click the link. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, I got to watch 9 Wives, man. Yeah, I got to watch 9 Wives. Go ahead and support and go watch 9 Wives. And but it's funny how Mike Tyson's an all-time great, but Deontay Wilder is not. And you look at their resume. I think Deontay Wilder is better because he never quit. I think the 215. I say this. I think the 215, 220-pound Deontay Wilder is a 50-50 fight against Mike Tyson. Like all that, I think all that herky-jerkiness and Deontay Wilder, I don't think so. I think when Mike Tyson catches one of his punches, he'll revert back to being, I think, a coward. I think when Mike Tyson stepped up in competition, he found a way out. But I'll try and catch up with Chris Broussard maybe in a couple of months and we'll pop. But I want to say, again, happy birthday to Mr. Chris Broussard, man. I thank you for spending 20 minutes on a spontaneous phone call. So Barbershop Conversations, man, go support Chris Broussard, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.